take a look at these two examples. We want to determine the following graph as a graph of a function and then find domain and range. I'll sketch it over here on my tablet for the first part. And the graph looks like this. Now notice I'm putting arrows on there. Those arrows indicate it keeps going forever, because when it goes off the edge of your graph like this, you assume it's following the same pattern from then on. Okay. Question is whether it's a function or not. Well, if I draw a vertical line here, intersects one place, I drop one here, one place. There's no place I can drop a vertical line where it intersects at two or more places. Since most it'll ever intersect is one place, then the answer to the first part is yes, it is a function. Okay, now let's talk about our domain and our range. Now I'll go to the actual graph to talk about the domain. Your domain is your x values where your graph exists. For example, here's -2, and I know it's small, but you can see where my cursor is. If I go straight up from there, that right there means we found a graph, so it exists at -2. If I come over here to -6, if I go straight up, I find my graph, so that means it exists at -6. So for your domain, you're going to go up or down and see if you find your graph. Well, if I come over here to -20, if I go up far enough, I'll find my graph, because this is continuing the same pattern. So it exists at -20. If I come over here to -1,000,000, if I go up far enough, I'll find my graph, which implies it's going to -infinity. Now over on this side, if I take a look at the 5, if I go straight up, I find my graph. And if I come over here to +1,000,000,000, if I go up far enough, I'll find my graph, which implies it's going to +infinity over here. So our domain is -infinity to +infinity. Now our range. Our range is our y values where our graph exists. If I come down here to 1, if I go left or right, I don't find my graph anywhere. It doesn't exist down here. Actually, the lowest point where it exists is right here 2. So that's going to be my starting place. Now if I come up here to 7, if I go left to right, I can find my graph. Actually, I find it on both sides. And if I go up to 1,000,000, y is equal to 1,000,000. If I go left to right, I'll find my graph up there if I go over far enough to the left or right. So it exists there, which implies it's going to +infinity. Your lowest point, when it opens up like that, will always be your first value, and then it goes to infinity. If it opened down, then you'd have -infinity, and then you'd have the number over here. Now infinities always have parentheses on them, and numbers will have brackets. Only if you got an open dot or open circle will it not. Okay. Now let me sketch this one. First question is whether it's a function or not. Determine if the following graph is a graph of a function. And if I use the vertical line test, if I drop a vertical line here, it intersects at 2 or more places. Again, if you can draw a vertical line that intersects at 2 or more places, that means it's not a function. So the first answer on that is no. Now our domain is our x values where our graph exists. If I come over here to -7, if I go up or down, I do find my graph, so it exists at -7. And this is continuing the same pattern, so it's going forever to the left. So if I come over here to -1,000,000, if I go up or down, I'll find my graph, which implies it's going to -infinity. Now over here, if I come to x equals 4, if I go up or down, I don't find my graph at all. It doesn't actually exist at x equals 4. The rightmost point where it exists is right here, which is 3. So this is going to go from -infinity to 3. And numbers always have brackets unless there's an open dot, open circle on them. Now the range is a little bit harder to see on this. Your range is your y values. But as you see this pattern here, see how it's as it's going left, it's slowly going down, keeps slowly going left, down. It'll keep slowly going down to down forever as it goes to the left, which implies if I were to come down here to -1,000,000 on my y-axis, if I go left far enough, I'll find my graph. Same thing up here. As this is going to the left, it's slowly going up, slowly going up. It'll keep slowly going up forever, which implies it's going to +infinity. So your range is going to be -infinity to +infinity. And those would be our answers to those two problems.